This is the moment that designers cherish. This is the moment that designers look forward to with the most amount of passion, the reveal. Often it takes months, sometimes weeks, and with all the hard work, we bring you the reveal. Welcome to Malibu and this beautiful Malibu beach house, which we are going to share with you today. Hello and welcome to another fabulous episode of The Reveal. Today we are revealing a good friend of mine's house who became a client several years ago when they were looking for a house here in Malibu. Malibu is it's an enclave of homes, probably about 11,000 people living at the side of the ocean, about 30 minutes outside of Los Angeles. One of the most amazing things about Malibu is we have such a close relationship to nature. We live on the edge of the water and we have the mountains everywhere behind us. So what they really wanted to feel was that they were at one with nature and they were very peaceful and tranquil. They have an amazing collection of art. It's bright, it's explosive, and it's colorful. So it was really important to keep the house very neutral, very pared back. So I hope that you're going to enjoy walking through the house as much as I have. And welcome to Malibu. Let's go. It was very important for us to capture an essence of joviality and perhaps an essence of fun because it is a Malibu beach house. I am lucky enough to have designed a line of tiles called the Tile from Ipanema, which is in Brazil, and it's a Portuguese design of black and white mosaics that looks and feels like a wave. So it's all over the driveway, and it absolutely is the most wonderful welcome to the house because first thing you notice is this absolutely exquisite, very jovial, very playful mosaic tile, which actually looks like the waves. And then with it being a beach house, we kind of wanted to put an ode to the beach. So we found this gorgeous mahogany planks. It's very difficult to find mahogany in long lengths, and this is a double garage. So I actually found it in 20-foot lengths, and we decided that we just wanted to actually seal it. So it's got a very nice matte sealer on it, and it's actually the most beautiful thing that you see when you come to the house. Many argue what the quintessential Malibu beach house really is. Malibu Beach is all about living on the ocean, living with the sounds of nature, and people just want to have a real sense of relaxation when they come to Malibu. So my clients, when they actually found this house, it was completely brown. It was one of those 1970s drab houses, but it had this beautiful charm to it because it was loaded with bricks and wood and all those things that you want to have at the beach, but not necessarily to be in a dark drab brown. So my interpretation for this was to bring the house to life. So we have glorious white, as that's what you want when you want to come to the house in Malibu. You want to have an open Malibu beach house, and the whole secret is the ocean. Everything is about the view. So I love the entrance to the house because it gives you this little frisson of ocean, and it's this, you immediately smell the ocean, you hear the ocean, and it gives you an idea of what to expect as you enter the house. So I love this little sneak peek behind us. So a lot of people talk about Zen and the meaning of peace and serenity in houses when it comes to a bathroom or the entrance to a house. But my client really wanted to feel like they really were at peace with the planet. And one of the most amazing things about living in Malibu is that you hear the roar of the surf and you hear the smell and sound of nature, and you really do feel like you are in Zen. So this Buddha was really important when we found it because it really gives you a sense of Zen. And we also wanted to set the tone for the house because the house is very tranquil and very peaceful, and you're also at one with nature. Welcome to the perfect Malibu beach house. Every Malibu beach house has to have the most amazing ocean view, which this actually does. But because this is a little narrow lot, it's about 35 feet wide, everything is geared towards the ocean. So you feel a perspective. It feels very architectural naturally. So what we wanted to do was open it up. So you'll see this beautiful staircase here. We took all the original wood off and we made it into clear glass. So that way you're always looking through the glass and it opens up the space. We were really lucky to have this very large volume. It's actually 36 feet high, which is very high by any standards. And there's a glorious fireplace, which, believe it or not, in Malibu, it gets quite cool at night because of the Pacific. And this is a very architectural statement that was here. The biggest challenge for me was opening up the space, because when you're on the ocean, every single inch and every single foot counts. So what I wanted to do was immediately open up the whole space. This area, believe it or not, was old-fashioned little French doors, and there was loads of wood, which hardly gave you any view to the ocean. And then there was just a tiny sliver of a window there. So what we did was we opened the window and put a 3.5-foot window there, and now it's all ocean. So come on out, I know you're dying to see this view. So the views are actually really uncomparable in this house because of the lot line. This house is built right up towards the ocean, and it was very fortunate to be sat where it's sitting, because if you look behind me, you can see the whole view of Santa Monica Bay and the Malibu movie colony, which is actually very, very famous, and that's where Malibu basically began many years ago. We wanted to keep the architecture smooth and clean, so again, we whited out all of the brick. The white really allows the colors of the ocean and the colors of nature to speak. So when it came to furniture, we really had to use natural woods. So everything was about using the natural woods, natural linens, and keeping it really light. So I kind of knew that they had a very bright art collection, and it wasn't until we were halfway through designing that the art came out. And I'll introduce you to the art pieces later. But for now, I just want to show you the entertaining spaces, because it was all about the ocean and letting the ocean view in. The first challenge was actually to get rid of the ugly old banister, because the railing that was here before was heavy iron, and it was all drenched in like old rust. So we had to take those out, and we had to put this beautiful glass panels in. The glass panels actually make everything, but they require like major cleaning. But I have to tell you, it's absolutely a must when you're on the ocean that you can see right through everything. So we wanted to feel safe, but we also wanted it to feel like there was no barrier between the ocean. This house has been blessed with sitting on rock. Most of the houses in Malibu actually are on stilts, and the water comes underneath them, but this house actually sits on bedrock. So we're on a cliff about 20 feet above the ocean, so the water actually is always in front of the house. So it feels much more grounded, and we actually have an upper and a lower deck. So on the lower deck, we have a built-in barbecue that I'm going to take you to, and this is where everybody hangs out and has direct access to the beach. So we're here on the lower deck, and there's nothing better than barbecuing or grilling right oceanside. So what we made sure this little mini kitchen, or this summer kitchen, it has everything that you need from the main kitchen. So it has refrigeration, it has ice, it has running water, and it has this gorgeous barbecue. However, in Malibu, we are on the ocean. This, as beautiful as it is, will destroy any stainless steel. So we always make sure that it's kept covered, which leads me to the type of furnishings that you have to have. It really works out well if you can have natural wood, teak or acacia by the beach, because there's always going to be a layer of salt and a layer of moisture on it. So what we did was we made a conscious decision to go with a natural teak product and not to seal the teak. And the reason why we don't want to seal the teak is that it naturally goes gray, and it has a natural gray patina over time. And that's why we went with a darker charcoal gray fabric. It's a Sunbrella, it's very easy to take care of, but we don't have to worry about the seagulls, because if they drop things on and you have white, it never truly gets clean. So this is why we have this very natural gray and natural teak. And it actually, if you look at the beach and you look at the colors that are on the sand, we're working with grays and beiges, which to me is a very natural color palette set off by the white. One of my favorite spots in the house is actually right down here on the lower deck. It kind of feels like you're in a cave. I don't know if you can hear the ocean is raging behind me. And actually Malibu is a Chumash Indian name, and it's a name, and it means in native Indian, it means noisy surf or loud surf. So one of the things about being under the house here, it feels like you are literally in a cave, and I absolutely love it. You can just sit here with a drink and just get lost in nature, and that's what this house is all about. It's having that Zen feeling, and really the whole color palette came to me through nature, and that's exactly what this is all about. Wow, it's hard to take in all the natural beauty outside. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure of is that the house is really serene and peaceful. So we kept all the upholstered pieces very neutral. These chairs actually were my client's mother's. And I have to tell you, it was really interesting when she showed them to me. She said, do you think we could use them? And they were, of course, in a different fabric. And we decided to keep them in a very muted tone. These chairs actually are interchangeable. We can put them over there. We can move them over here. We can move them over there. So these chairs actually live here. So it's a really nice pit. We were really fortunate that the house came with this incredible sofa. It's a custom sofa that fits exactly. And we knew that it was gonna get a wearing and a tearing with everything that goes on with the sand and the soil and all the mess that comes in from outside. So we decided to use Sunbrella. So it's an outside fabric and it really, really works. And it keeps that neutral linen tone and just makes you, it almost disappears even though it's about 18 foot long in total. And of course, the artwork here is really sensational. This piece behind me is, I think that once this was showed to me, everything else seemed to match together. The actor James Franco doesn't really paint that much. I believe he's painted 10 or 15 paintings, and this is actually one of his. And actually, the owner of the house, it was her husband who actually liked it, and she said, I can't believe I like it. So we went with it, and out of that came the most gorgeous oranges and greens and blues, which really seemed to ground everything. So we're gonna see this elaborate art throughout the house, but it's all set with the backdrop of muted tones and lots of whites. So this is a really great living room. This is basically the main living area in the house. And because of these beautiful windows, we put these windows in. I wanted the whole wall of glass to be open. So we have two 13-feet openings that actually, they frame the view beautifully. And pretty much most of the time on the ocean here in Malibu, the wind comes from the west and we're facing dead south. So the wind never really comes into the house. So even when it's quite cool out, they can keep these windows open, which is what I wanted. So of course, dining is very important wherever you are. And it's not like you want to have a sit-down formal dinner, but you want to feel like you've got a place to sit and have dinner or put hors d'oeuvres out, whatever. So this is an incredible slab of acacia wood from our local, there's a local company here in Malibu that all they do is these fabulous teak roots and beautiful things that come from Fiji. So the actual cocktail table is a teak root that's been chopped into like a big square, and then we put a glass top on it. And then this is an acacia wood, and it's actually just sealed with a natural sealer. So it almost feels like it was, it feels like it was just literally sliced, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's delicious. And this is where we sit down and we have dinners, or we can, it actually just feels like you're outside. And remember that word cave-like that I used when we were downstairs? Many times we feel like we're in a cave, like a sea cave, but then there's many times also that we feel like we're in a cruise ship, because when you look outside, you can't really see the invisible line of the glass railing. So it does feel like you're a cruise ship, and many times when the boats go by, it's actually incredible. What I love about design is sometimes the simplest of things can just come from the most bizarre places. This light is actually called the scroll fixture, and it's from Erin Lauder from the famous Estee Lauder. She is now a designer, and she designs beautiful lights. And these are just very simple scrolls, and they have a little bit of gold leaf inside them, and at night they just literally just glow out the top and the bottom, so they're very suggestive, and it kind of just makes it very sexy. I love these. We put them all around the living room and somewhere up the stairs as well. So I know many people hear about different styles of kitchens, and one of the styles of kitchens is a galley style kitchen. Now, galley style kitchen comes from the galleys that you see on a boat. So we do feel like we're on a houseboat here, and it's quite ironic that we have this gorgeous galley style kitchen. One of the things that I love about galley style kitchens, it's so easy. We've all heard of that perfect triangle where you cook. You've got the fridge here, you've got the range here, you've got the sink behind you, and then when you're ready to prepare it, get it all set, you can sit it right here, either and have a buffet, or two people can sit there and have breakfast. So I love this very simple room. It's almost connected, but when you're back here, you really feel like you are in a real kitchen, which you have everything. And one of the things that was really important here was we wanted it to feel like it blended in and it opened out. The original cabinets were used, and we actually refaced. And refacing cabinets is, you have to have a really good qualified cabinet maker. And one of the prerequisites here was that we wanted it to be just soft and smooth and almost feel like the cabinets were built into the wall, which they actually are. And we were really happy with this, and we did the great under cabinet lighting. And at night, this whole kitchen glows. And what's really nice is that I love it when you are here and your friends come, faces the house. So it's a very nice greeting, and this beautiful, it's like a greenhouse window. We decided to keep that. And of course the orchid loves it, and that's where it lives. And we have a coffee station, the microwave, and everything's kind of tucked away, but everything's right here when you need it. Even the pantry, you don't even realize that this is a food pantry, and it so stylishly puts everything away. One of the most important things in interior design is you always want to make something feel spacious, yet also make it feel cozy. So it was very important to us that we got rid of the old wooden banister and put this beautiful piece of glass in. So immediately it opens everything up. And I'm so glad we went with the most important decision with the floor, which is a 9-inch white oak plank. And 9 inches means it's nice and wide, and we've got very long pieces of wood. So this looks really bespoke and very custom. And in many ways, it feels like a luxury yacht, which is what we were going for. But it feels very casual and elegant at the same time. And one other thing I love about these stairs and the staircase is you don't have anything to hold on to. So if you look down here, you have these little rivets, and only the little rivulets hold everything on. So it's a very nice, light, open space. And then you're going up into this beautiful 36-foot opening. Wow. There is nothing like ascending a staircase like this with that view in the background. It makes you just want to look over and check out the beautiful view. One of the most important things about designing this space, we wanted to have a relationship between the two levels, because the master bedroom also is part of a loft that overlooks the ocean, and it also overlooks the living room. So at first we wanted to do something like with a mobile, but then we realized that we did need to get light into the middle of the room. So we found this chandelier, and it's like sea glass. It's like someone has blown the old sea glass that you would find in an old ship, and you still have all the seedy glass. So we absolutely fell in love with it, and it's at so many different levels. But the problem was, it weighs over 150 pounds. So if I can only tell you the scaffolding and what the preparation that went into putting that there, it hangs so effortlessly, and it looks like it's as light as balloons. But the reality is that probably took about a month of planning and all of the scaffolding. But when it went away, we were left with this incredible piece. And I have to tell you that the owner, like me, is a neat freak, and twice a year they come in here with the scaffolding and they clean it. So this thing is scrubbed clean all the time, and you can literally see through the ocean of the seedy glass, and it's beautiful. The house has a really unusual floor plan, and there is a third bedroom upstairs which is like an attic, but what we did was we really made it very open and very natural with all the windows, and this is the entrance to go upstairs. So we had to have something to close off the master suite. So we came up with this idea of having a wonderful frosted glass door, and guess what's behind the frosted glass door? You've got this incredible ocean view. So what we have here is we have a really tranquil, beautiful setting where people can, the owners of the house actually just sit here, they have their coffee in the morning, and this is a place to relax and ponder. But you can also have this overlook, which I absolutely love. You can check out who's sitting down here. If you've got friends in the evening, you can wave to them, and it's fabulous to see the fireplace as well. So we're gonna go take a look outside, because the view here, I call it the bird's nest, because you feel like you're a bird nesting. Wow, so the bird's nest is fabulous, and we call it the bird's nest because this is the only view. There's a fabulous telescope here, and we can look at the whales, we can look at the ships as they pass by. We've got Catalina Island out there, and we also have Palos Verdes. So this is the place to be and relax and listen to the waves, I have to say. It's very important when you're doing design that you have somewhat of a theme, and because we are nautical and we are on the beach here, we thought it was very appropriate to do this large porthole. And this large porthole, it's actually a window, so even though you are using it when you're getting dressed, It kind of is reminiscent of maybe something that would be on a ship. And it also brings in these huge, gorgeous globes, which are my favorite, these beautiful round globes that are the lighting fixture. So I think we're trying to work with circles. And as we walk into the bathroom in a moment, you're going to see there's a very big circular window. And I always like to have reoccurring themes within a design. So in order to have the ultimate in serenity, you really want to have a cushy bed. And it was very important that they have a very high back so they can sit up in bed, they can relax. And also, it gets really loud here. The noise of the waves can get very loud. So we wanted to have some fabric to absorb. So it was very important that we had a high bed frame that was upholstered, so you still feel that coziness and you want to cozy up in bed. And again, everything is very sandtone, and the only color scheme we're bringing in is that of the water with the soft blues and some greens. So here we are in the master bathroom, which is actually very tranquil and very serene, and we were very lucky that we were blessed with a porthole. I mean, how wonderful to be on the ocean and have a porthole there. So we did frost the glass so that it is private, but they can open it so there's a fabulous breeze, and you can also hear the ocean while you're having your bathtub. And the owner wanted to have a little bit of fancy and inject a little bit of her wonderful personality in the bathroom. And this is Scalamandre wallpaper, which is one of my favorites. And of course, she chose the color, which is the light marine blue. And it's just playful. It's this wonderful white cheetahs. And I think that in such a modern bathroom, it's very important that wallpaper can actually really bring a lot of warmth into a space and also bring movement, because this is everybody wants to have that clean white aesthetic in the bathroom. It makes us feel clean, but it can also be very clinical. And when these walls were white, it looked very clinical. And now it's become this playful little paradise that it almost looks like it's fabric, but it's wallpaper, and I absolutely adore it. But I can't say credit because my client really fell in love with it, and I did give the blessing. Wow, what a lucky guest you would be if you got to have this room. It's absolutely amazing. It has its own little patio, which is absolutely fantastic. And again, we just wanted to go with a very muted tone, but we wanted to remind you that you are on the ocean. So these gorgeous blues make you happy. And then I have to tell you, we are on the ocean, we are on the sea, and finally, you're actually seeing seagrass be used in its appropriate place. So you can see how this is very nautical. You don't really realize how seagrass is woven like a rope, and we are on the ocean. So we have a beautiful thick cable knit, which is very soft and grounding for the room. And we have these beautiful California shutters because we are in California. And this is just a really peaceful room. In the guest bathroom, it was really important that we had continuity. So we wanted to make sure that we did the seagrass, but this time on the wallpaper. So we did the grass cloth, but it's a gorgeous, like a marine blue. So it softens it because everything is very cream and there's a lot of stone and a lot of wood in here and a lot of glass, obviously. So we wanted to, again, remind you were at the ocean, but just bring it in a little bit and make it feel a little bit softer, which I feel this blue does a very good job of. And now my favorite part, we're going up to the loft. Oh, this room is fabulous. You're actually in the roof of the house in the attic. And again, it was very important that they didn't want to feel like if you were staying in the room up here, that you were kind of shoved in the attic, and nobody wants that. But this has a gorgeous ocean view. Anything that you eat on the beach, you can work off with this fabulous bicycle here. And it was also very important that we kept everything very soft and very muted. So this room it's kind of interesting because you actually are within the roof of the house. We have seagulls. The seagulls, it was very important to bring the seagulls in. And this is just a really soft, nice room to come and relax in. And it also has its own little bathroom, which is fantastic. In keeping with the grass cloth theme, we kept the grass cloth in this third little powder room upstairs. And it's actually nice because if you're in bed at night, you don't need to run downstairs to have a shower, but at least if you want to use the restroom, you've got one right up here. And this is really soft and clean, and it has a little window in it, which I adore. Oh, I almost forgot. There is a great big ugly electric panel behind this beautiful piece of art. So remember, when you are designing your home, sometimes there's things that you cannot avoid. So we painted it white, but it still was a big chunky looking metal, and it wasn't part of the aesthetic. So this actually really is a nice dressy way, and if ever you need to get to the electrical box, it's round there, but you must make sure you always cover them. been an absolute pleasure showing you my private Malibu, and it's a really beautiful place. I know most people have heard of Malibu, you may have seen it in the movies. We're just a beautiful small town on the ocean, and we have many challenges when it comes to interior design. I think in this house, one of the most challenging things was you can't use metal anywhere because metal disintegrates. So we have to use metal very sparingly. So what we ended up doing is you have to use a lot of wood, a lot of upholstery, and anything wood has to be natural. You can't have anything with a metallic finish on it. And I would say the most challenging thing was this beautiful light chandelier that weighs so much that we had to actually have built into the ceiling so that it would just hang effortlessly there. So a lot of times in design, the most simplest of things take the hardest and the longest time to do. I'm really glad that you came with us today, and I hope you enjoyed looking at it as much as I enjoyed designing it with the client.